Welcome back to Leaders of Belgavi. This podcast series is brought to you by Vigyan Manthan Foundation in association with KLS IMER's Institutions Innovation Council. I'm your host, Chetna Sarang, the director at Vigyan Manthan Foundation. I'm delighted to bring you episode number 3 with a true champion of industry and community, Dr. Sachin Sabnis. Dr. Sachin Sabnis is a shining example of entrepreneurial spirit. As a first generation entrepreneur, he transformed his vision into reality, founding Belgaum Ferrocast India Private Limited, a leading manufacturer supplying critical components to OEMs, known as original equipment manufacturers, across India and the globe. His journey is a testament to hard work, dedication, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. Dr. Sabnis' influence stretches far beyond the boardroom. He is deeply committed to serving his community. He established vital COVID care centers during the pandemic's peak, providing critical support to those in need. He is also a driving force behind Seva Cart, a digital platform empowering local artisans. His leadership extends to key roles in organizations like Lagu Udyog Bharati, the Belgaum Chamber of Commerce, and even national platforms like EPFO and National Institute of Advanced Manufacturing Technologies. This commitment to betterment is truly inspiring, sir. Join me as we delve into Dr. Sabnis' remarkable journey, exploring his entrepreneurial wisdom, his dedication to social causes, and his passion for building a better Belgavi. Let's begin. Dr. Sabnis, welcome to Leaders of Belgavi. It's an honor to have you share your insights with our listeners. You are one of the celebrated and entrepreneurs of Belgavi, I would like to call. You are frequently seen in the news for all the right reasons. You started your journey very young, in those days where entrepreneurship was not just another thing, it was very tough. And you being first generation entrepreneurs, we definitely want to know about your journey. How would you summarize it?
At the outset, I would like to thank Vigyan Manthan and IMER for organizing this excellent podcast. I've actually gone through the first two recorded podcasts and they have come really well and really inspiring to the young entrepreneurs or people who want to do something in social space too. So thank you for calling me here. I don't know if I really fit into the bill of first two interviewees that you have taken, but thank you for also that introduction. As far as my journey goes, actually, as you said, I'm a first generation entrepreneur, and I was born in Belagavi, but after completing my engineering from KLE College of Engineering in mechanical stream, entrepreneurship was always there. It was actually my father who said that, or who had a dream of being an entrepreneur, but due to the family pressures or financial pressures, he couldn't be. And at a very young age, he had to join work to support his family. But then his thought of entrepreneurship always inspired me. And even though he was working in a bank, earlier he worked in the defense forces and later on in a bank. But whenever he was working in a bank, still he used to do something, entrepreneur. So I thought like, why not do that? And he used to always tell me, why you want to work for somebody? Go and work, create jobs for people. That would be the most right way to actually give back to the society. So that thing was always in my mind. So after completing my engineering, I never thought of really going and joining some big companies. Though I completed my engineering in 93, a lot of my friends were joining. Software was something pretty new back then. So maybe I didn't knew that after 30 years, we'll come back to that I might get back to something, doing something in that space. But in 1993, I was a little bit skeptical about the software too, because some people took a great liking to it, but a lot of people feared the software also. It depended on the kind of teachers you had at your college. So that was one of the reasons I had a huge fear for the software. So I never thought that I'll get into the software field. And being a mechanical engineer, I thought that let me do something in that space. And since the thought of entrepreneurship was already there, I didn't think of hunting for any job at anything big company like maybe Tata Motors or Bajaj. A lot of my friends went and joined big companies in Pune. There was nothing like a campus interview back then. You had to, once you complete your engineering, you go job hunting to either, and that Pune was the only place for, say, mechanical engineers. No mechanical engineers went to Bangalore during that time. So I stayed back here. I worked a couple of 6, 8 months in Bemco Hydraulics, I feel, and then 2 years in Ashoka and Works. And then I got an opportunity that I should do something. That's how I started with a very small machine shop initially in a rented premises. The machine was also rented, the premises was also rented. And we were supplying because the day I wanted to leave Ashoka and work, I just don't want to mention more names, but some names I have to take. When Mr. Katkar was there, who was a director there, and he asked me what you wanted to do. And I told him that I want to be an entrepreneur. He said, we have a machine, you can take it, try to run it for 5, 6 months. If you are successful, you can continue with it. Otherwise, anyway, you can come back and join us. That was my first stint as an entrepreneur. And I did it for 1.5 year. And then the idea of starting a foundry came. And I found someone and I started foundry.
That's profound. Entrepreneurial journey gives the same set of challenges to everyone. However, I see entrepreneurs have and they develop their own flavor. What kind of entrepreneur are you? What is the essence and what flavors do you carry with you as an entrepreneur?
No, as you rightly said, every entrepreneur is a little bit different. Some of them are too focused. I won't say that different style of entrepreneurships, something is good and something is bad. It is not. It is an individual choice to do whatever they do. But I would call myself a little bit of a social entrepreneur because, as I said from beginning, that intent of giving back to society was much stronger than individual success. Individual success is always there, but I thought of individual success as a intangible achievement that might come my way. But giving employment to people, giving employment to the society and doing, so that is the reason I have always been involved with a lot of social activities that go on, a lot of associations, a lot of trainings or whatever happens. I'm more than enthusiastic in seeing that my fraternity benefits out of that. So that has always been my style of entrepreneurship, and that's how I look at. Because sometimes I feel that maybe if I would have been a very hardcore entrepreneur who are more focused on money and developing their company to a next level, that is always there. But then I need to give something back also. That has always been one important part of my day-to-day life.
So you portray a strong social entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
In that process, how were you able to balance this, keeping your company profitable? I see that there are 600 plus employees. It's not an easy task. How were you able to manage both? Rather, I would want to know in which point or at which stage did you get into this social things, or what is the right phase where we get onto this social entrepreneurship along with our own company?
No, see, your first question is how do you keep company profitable is first thing you need to invest in people. I don't invest in anything else. I invest in people. So you need to build the right team. If you have the right team and they are able to take care of your day-to-day operations or your day-to-day activities, then you get a lot of time to do these social activities that I do. If you don't take, there are a lot of people who are individual entrepreneurs. Means sometimes I call them as they are more celebrated employees of their own company because they don't look like owners. They are doing everything themselves. Everything from getting in the morning and starting or opening the lock to closing their factory sheds. That is, I have seen so many people do that. But if you invest into right team, I think you will find a lot of time and also profitability will come. Because as I said, it has been always my strategy or policy to invest in people. So I look at people as my investment. If they are able to deliver and I trust them, and they have delivered very well when it comes to growing my company. I didn't get, what was your second
My
question to that?
second question was, when do we know that we have to
Okay,
start into social
at what
entrepreneurship?
age? See, there is not an age specific that when you have to get into social work or do social activities, that thought has to be there in your mind. But at the beginning, you are so much engrossed in building your company and trying to do. A lot of times you don't find time to dedicate yourself because you really like to do those things, but then you don't have the time as well as the space as well as the reputation behind you. These all things go hand in hand. A fresh entrepreneur, if he comes to Udyambag, let me tell you, stress upon another point. For a first generation entrepreneur, anybody coming new to Udyambag, it is not that easy. I always find it very difficult. You go to any social platform or social association, it is not that you might get easily accepted. You have to build some reputation, some name. That is the only time when you can go and do something for the society, because society also has to accept you. Until and unless you are successful, they won't accept you. You being a failure and going and telling them something to do will have a very less impact on the people. So maybe I won't recommend at a very young age you should do it, but you shouldn't let go of that thought of being giving back to the society.
So
That should always be there.
once we become stable,
Yeah, stable or little bit of successful, and you feel that now I can dedicate some time. That is the time you are the best person or best guide towards that. It is not defined that I cannot say that after 10 years you have to do it or after 15 years you have to do it. But it depends. But that thought should always be there with you.
I, I'm keen to know about, in your journey, were there any people who played a crucial role where you could lean on them or hinge? Today it's called a technical term called mentorship. Those days it was not. But were there any people who stood beside you or who motivated you? Would you like to talk something about those? How do you see this mentorship?
There are many people. Honestly, right now, mentorship is one buzzword. Maybe the mentors have been always there, not today, maybe thousands of years, even if you go to Bhagavad Gita and Arjuna and Krishna. So it's all about mentorship. It is question and answering his concerns about everything. So if you have to grow in life, you have to have mentors. Even if when you are in college, maybe some of your professors might be your mentors. You go and ask them. But when you join business also, you try to identify some people who are successful or whom initially you benchmark that, okay, I want to be like him, or I want to at least reach as much as that person has reached. And you have to go and start speaking to them. You go and start conversing with them. And every discussion, every moment you talk with them, you need to grasp certain things that they're telling you. It need not be a very typical mentorship class that I can get you to the classroom and teach you that this is how you succeed. But out of their experiences, even if you are generally talking to them, you learn so many things. And in my life, I have been very, very lucky to meet a lot of such people, maybe through my college, through my school. Ram Bhandari has been one of them. Madhvacharya is another person. I always look up to him. My partner, Niranjan Sant, because one of the things you asked the prior question is about the social work. I get a lot of time because he takes a lot of responsibilities when it comes to doing business also. So it is always, it all happens in that way. So every person is a mentor. Honestly speaking, I have an attitude to learn with everyone. Need not be a elderly person, even a younger person when he's speaking to you. How many words out of his sentence can you catch and try to learn something is very important.
It's a lifelong learning attitude
Absolutely.
that takes everyone far. I totally agree with that.
Now they have just that big learning, they have just put it in the bracket and called it mentorship. That's all.
True. You said about teamwork. There are different types of leaders. Entrepreneurship is a first level, it's a broad level. When we get into the team, as a team player, what kind of leader are you?
I like to trust. Basically, see, I personally believe I'm not a perfectionist. So I don't expect perfection from my team. Let me be very honest. A lot of people are very, very perfectionist and they expect the same thing from their team. I think that's the first hurdle to building a strong team. The first thing is you need to trust them. Second thing is you need to be a little bit considerate that as humans, they are going to make some mistakes. Let them learn from their mistakes and show them a vision. Until and unless they have a vision or they know the roadmap where they want to go, you cannot build a team. Every team needs a roadmap, every team needs a end goal. But trust and being a little bit not strict is my style of managing things.
That's profound. Glad to know that. Everybody have got a definition of success. What is your definition of success?
For me, a balance between entrepreneurially or financially successful as well as socially being known and being accepted or doing something to the society, remembering that is very important. Somehow I like leaving behind a legacy that, okay, people remember you after 25, 30 years that, okay, you did this. Need not be that your balance sheet is so strong or your bank account is so big. That's not something very impressive for me because in my journey, not only in Belgaum as Laghu Udyog Bharati state president, I have moved and I have met so many people in Bangalore and all. Honestly, that strong balance sheet or a big fat financial bank balance doesn't impress me. So I always look at people that how socially you are strong. That is one leaning I have. So if person is doing something for the society, I find that as a bigger success. Need not be right with everyone because as I said, for every person, the success would be different. For someone having a very, very strong financial background or a financial balance sheet or a bank account would be counted as a success. But for me, I think a balance between these two is always welcome, little bit leaning towards more of social things.
I think that definition of success which you said, it truly portrays your personality. Amazing to know that. I would want to know about the compromises that you might have done in this journey because me being an entrepreneur, I know it's not a 100-meter dash, it's a marathon. What are the compromises that you have been doing in this journey?
No, absolutely, because balancing these two things is not easy. Running a company with 600 people with so much of expectation from customers, suppliers, from my own team, and many a times not being there for them really sometimes gets to me. I feel that I should keep everything this aside and come back and do what I can do. But then, due to that social leaning, that is the one way why you ask me about my management style. Why do I trust them more, or why do I want them to learn making mistakes? Is because I also get a little bit of time to do what makes me happy. At the end of the day, I would say, why did I become an entrepreneur? Is one question I always ask me. I could have worked somewhere. If I had to do the same thing, I could have worked somewhere from morning 9 to 10, and maybe looking into today's scenario, I might have been paid more than what I earn today, maybe more than that. But I became an entrepreneur because I wanted to take my own decisions. Maybe I wanted freedom from making money, and more importantly, freedom having my own time. So these three basic things were there: time, money, and taking decisions. That is why I became an entrepreneur. And that is the reason I feel that I cannot compromise on these three things when I go through my day-to-day life. And so those sacrifices are naturally needed whenever I have to do or I have to do what makes me happy. So those challenges are there. Time is I find a lot of times I travel a lot. So I'm not able to give enough time to not only the factory, but even my family. That challenges are always there.
So I see there are multiple dimensions to an entrepreneurial journey. For some, there are lesser. With you, there is social and society and their progress as well. So keeping these dimensions, one is your family, the other thing is your own company and society. Along with that comes your personal growth. How do you plan your personal growth? What are the things that involve in your self growth? How do you take care of this aspect?
No, apart from taking care of personal health and meditation with mental calmness, because in today's world that is very much important, because until and unless you are mentally stable, things will get to you, because it is really difficult, not only in the entrepreneurial world, but at the same time in the social space also, managing so many people, managing teams every day is quite difficult. But apart from that, on personal growth side, I like to read. I keep myself updated. Social media is one thing which I use, basically the digital platforms. I would request a lot of young people to use those in very positive way rather than spending your time, because many a times I see that a lot of screen time is so high even with my own children. And I say I don't have a problem with the screen time, but how much time of that you have really used to upgrade yourself or to learn something that's happening in the world or to learn something new. I want to learn something every day. Every day if something comes, you go to that, try to research, because at the end of the day, I think more knowledge you keep on gathering, that is more stronger person or a more presentable person you become. Because until and unless just looking at some videos and being happy about that is not my style of doing things. Just to give you an example, maybe about 8 or 10 days back, you saw SpaceX, the rocket come down. For me, okay, looking at that is nice, but then going and researching about that a little bit, how did they do it, what they did do it, adds to my knowledge. I know it's not going to help me. I'm not going to build that or do anything of that sort. But those knowledge gathering, one habit one should develop as a young person, I think. And today's younger generation have so many opportunities to do that because of the digital nature or the digital platforms that exist. I like to do those things basically.
True that. Being in the AI space, I can clearly define how humans are different. We tend to learn things indirectly in various other situations, unlike machines where they need direct knowledge. Humans are designed specially to pick up things from any scenario.
Yeah, regarding AI, I always say AI doesn't have emotions. A lot of people use now ChatGPT and other things for maybe preparing their speech or preparing their letters and all. But honestly, AI doesn't have the emotions. You can use those, but then at the end of the day, if you are able to induce some kind of an human emotions into that letter or that speech, it makes it much better. Because, and I would always rather suggest you build your own thing creatively and then go to the AI rather than going to AI and then coming back to your speech, because that will always help you develop your creativity. Because after some time what will happen, we will lose our creativity. We will be so much dependent on all these things, artificial generative things, that we will just miss the opportunity. And maybe if you look at the kids today, they don't have a knowledge of even basic mathematics. That's because of the calculator, or we don't remember any phone numbers as such today. It is because of the handset we carry, because it doesn't require us to remember the phone numbers. So I always feel that if younger generation can be more creative and then go back to AI and try to find out if they have missed something, and then they can add a few things into it.
True.
That would be, means that will also promote their creativity.
Right. So although you started your journey in 1990s, early 1990s, uh, we find you as the most relevant, updated, and very active in the startup ecosystem. Things are very different. They're scientifically rigged up. There is a lot of training going on. How do you see these activities of startup ecosystem? Are they really helping?
No, see, as I said, as you spoke about the mentorship, even 1993, what we started was a startup. Basically, that time this word startup was not there. Somehow we have been using these words more frequently now. We call anybody who starts with a new idea or doing some different innovation, they call it as a startup and get into that. It's amazing to see, because see, India has become a startup capital, and there are people who are doing really amazing jobs. Basically, if you look at the kids who are coming out of colleges and trying to do something new, it's really wonderful. Means especially In a place like Bangalore and all, there are so many people. Like last week, I was in Bangalore and attended one startup program, and there were kids from engineering colleges. It was so enterprising and so good to speak to them that they were so well updated and they had a very clear cut thought what they want to do. So I'm in for this. Actually, startup is a very good activity that is happening, and a lot of young kids are getting into it. But then they need to be more focused. Is sometimes I always feel that they get little bit distracted by valuations, exiting. These words have become a buzzword for them. And when you don't have, as I said, like AI, if you don't have emotions attached to your idea, exiting and scaling up becomes very, very difficult. First thing, you really need to believe into your company. You have to really believe into what you are doing. Then only the whole thing can move to different level. That will come later, but initially your focus should be totally focused on whatever your product is or whatever your idea is. If that is missing, that is the only thing. Many a times when I meet some people with startups, I have at the back of the mind, it is always these things that somebody has grown 100x, somebody has become a unicorn, somebody has scaled up, somebody has exited. These things usually come. So that is my only worry with startups. Otherwise, it's wonderful.
Me being an active person in the startup ecosystem, because I started my journey as an entrepreneur in 2019, where a vibrant ecosystem was built up. I was a part of it, I still am. What I have observed is there are a lot of beneficial programs by government, even we are benefited by that. However, I see these accelerator programs, all of these, for me, it looks like they try to surpass the gestation period of the startups. We have to mature over the period with trial and error, but somehow there is an attempt to surpass all these and make us something else in a short time. It's like building multi super specialty hospital with all the doctors and trying to churn out the baby in just 6 months. I see it that way. Do you have anything to say about it?
No, surely you're absolutely right about that. Like I have been in business now for close to 30 years. So every year has been a learning. It has been a slow progression from where I started to where we are going. Maybe the next generation, companies that are second generation, they have already gone through that learning curve. For them, the movement is much faster, the growth is much faster, the scaling up is much faster. Similarly, for startups, they have to go through that learning curve. There is no shortcut to it. There is no scientific booklet to it. Okay, these are the things. Okay, out of experience, people might have come up with things that you shouldn't do and you should do, something like that. They can guide you, and that's where this mentorship and all this stuff comes into picture. But I always feel they need to go through the learning curve. They have to succeed. They need to fail. That they need to understand. Until and unless they fail, they won't be able to do anything in their life. Most of the startups, I ask him, "Are you ready to fail?" If they say yes, then I know he will succeed. If they don't have that attitude to fail, chances of success are very, very low.
Right. In that context, I would also want you to talk about this concept of incubation centers. There are so many incubation centers. How has it been helping, or is it really helping, or is it a mandatory thing where people are just following?
No, incubation centers, see, to be very honest with you, most of the colleges now have incubation centers. And it has become just one requirement that every college should have an incubation center, and then they have a startups. And there is no proper guidance or proper help to these incubation center to grow further. Few institutes I have seen, like maybe Keli Tech in Hubli, they have done excellently well with a lot of incubators out there. Deshpande Foundation has been doing really well job, because there is a very proper, well-defined guidance is available. Investing options are available, marketing options are available. Everything is placed in front of them, and that ecosystem exists out there. But in majority of colleges, that ecosystem, I don't see it exists. And that is the reason why those incubees who are there are not able to succeed. Because I think every college, I honestly feel, is most of the research or development that needs to happen should happen with academia. It's not the job of the industry to do the research and innovation. The job of industry is to give you the problem statements and also support you financially. These are two things that happen globally, where the entrepreneurs or industry, they give problem statements, and secondly, they finance the projects. But innovation, incubation, research, it needs to happen in the institutes. The institute should be well aligned towards that. And if they are aligned, they can build a huge intellectual property also. At the same time, this can be capitalized into huge financial gain for those institutes. In India, still the institutes have not been able to demonetize that thought process. If you look in the Western world, US or Europe, the institutes' worth come out of the number of patents they have, the number of research that happens, the number of incubees or incubation center which they have, and the valuation of that. But still, that concept has not got into India, though there is a slow progress on that front. Incubation centers are always welcome, but they need to be supported well.
Right. Coming to this innovation you mentioned, recently you have started Q Magna Innovations Lab in VTU campus. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Basically, it is, as I said, 30 years back, I had a fear of software. And going the whole cycle, after 30 years, I did meet some friends and who are basically, I don't come from a software background, but I'll just tell you what I understood about the whole thing. And Q Magna as a company is basically a software service provider company working in different spaces like maybe back-end office management, accounting, working with CPAs in USA, then OTT platform testing, cyber security testing. So it has multiple verticals. But the main thing that it is trying to do is introduce work integrated learning programs for students. Because again, on the social front, I feel the students should earn when they are learning. Because the learning that happens today is far away from the reality that is needed after they complete their engineering or BCom or whatever course they are doing. So if they are able to, or if they are exposed to the live working on certain projects, they will be better fit when they come out of the college. And at the same time, they are going to be paid, especially at Q Magna. The reason for that is we believe that the day person starts earning, his confidence level starts going up. At the same time, he becomes more responsible. When the money, most of the college students, when they're getting money from their parents as a pocket money, they can be very casual about it. But even if they get a check or a stipend of 10,000 rupees, they suddenly become very responsible. At the same time, they become better citizens. So our attempt at Q Magna is, apart from our software services, we want to engage majorly with students and try to push work integrated learning programs where they can come and work with us for say 3 years, 4 years till they graduate. If they still want to work, they can continue working with us. But we want to provide them with at least an opportunity to come and work on live projects basically.
That's very thoughtful of you, sir. You come out as a thought leader in this process.
Because since we are working with a lot of CPAs in USA, we already offered for a lot of BCom courses student, then you can join with us, and after 3 or 4 years, you can always yourself become a CPA. Becoming a CPA is much easier than becoming a chartered accountant in India.
I'm sure it would benefit a lot of listeners because students should encash opportunities that are built up in our city rather than rushing to catch a bus to a metro city.
That
right
has
after
also
their...
been our one thought process. You rightly mentioned that the students out here should stay back home. I don't know how many of them think about that, but still we are going with 12 plus students, so at least those 3 years they will be here. But even if they continue to stay with us later, that is a most welcome sign.
I think post-COVID things, the trends have been changing because definitely students don't want to miss out on experiencing the life in metro. And after few years, I see a lot of students are now coming back. That's a good sign. And with a lot of innovative things that the seasoned entrepreneurs of the city are building, it's a great synergy for the youngsters to stay back, come back.
We need to create opportunities. See, if the students are not coming back, or if they are coming back now, or earlier if they were not coming back, the reason is opportunities. If we create the opportunities, naturally the students will come back. We should also equally take the blame if the students don't come back. So we need to think from that side of the story also, that why doesn't the student want to come back, or why doesn't someone working in Pune or Mumbai or Bangalore doesn't want to come back and stay in his hometown. One of the reasons is maybe we are not creating enough opportunities for them.
I think it's one of the reasons. What I have seen is, in spite of the best opportunities provided to some bright students, they miss out on this lifestyle. So we cannot really hold them when they are after certain lifestyle, which only metro cities can
No,
provide.
that is very true. And also, lifestyle is one part of the story. Also, they don't want to stay with the parents. They want to stay or enjoy the bachelor's life, which maybe staying anywhere away from Belgaum might give to them, need not be metro cities.
Right. I accept that, sir. Yeah, I would like to know more about your work as a state president at Laghu Udyog Bharati.
Yeah, Laghu Udyog Bharati is a pan-India association. Basically, we have more than 51,000 members and presence in 29 states. So I have a responsibility as a state president of Laghu Udyog Bharati, Karnataka basically. Out here, we have more than 2,000 members, industry members, and presence in around 18 districts. And Laghu Udyog Bharati is basically more focused on helping the entrepreneurs with the social cause. That has been always again my thought process. And some of the programs that we do might just highlight those things. Just a couple of programs I would mention out here. One of them is Indian Manufacturing Show, which we do once in 2 years, which focuses on a very niche technology like aviation, aerospace, robotics. And it's a exhibition for 3 days to have a, say, B2B business opportunities for everyone, MSMEs to participate. Apart from that, we have a program called as a Tech Bharat, which is working with the startups, hand-holding the startups and taking them, exposing them to the angel investors, making them how to pitch or what to pitch with the angel investors. And different domains we have handled with Tech Bharat, like education, we have done agriculture, then we have done government contracts, how the startups can work in those spaces also. Apart from that, we do for rural economy something called as a Gram Shilpi, which is to help the rural artisans. We had a very big exhibition in Belagavi about 2 years back. So many things we are doing in Laghu Udyog Bharati as well as GEM portal. We are at the national level, since we are such a big organization. At the national level, we are tied up with GEM, ZED, ONDC. Many of them we are tied up, and we are trying to help because when we mention MSME, we need to understand that more than 99.5% of MSMEs that are existing are micro and small. They are not even medium. So they need a huge support and a huge hand-holding in their day-to-day activities.
Since you mentioned about manufacturing and you have learned a lot about manufacturing sector, can you give us some insights? Where do we stand? Where Belgavi stands? Where India stands? How could we improve? Some insights on this.
Honestly speaking, India is not doing great when it comes to manufacturing, because in our GDP, we have hardly contribution of 15-16% coming out of manufacturing. Though out of that 15-16%, maybe more than 40-45% come out of MSME. But with a lot of push from the government, especially with Atmanirbhar Bharat or Make in India, the attempt is to push this manufacturing to close to 25% of GDP. Until and unless we are able to push it to 25% of GDP, the common people are not going to be benefited out of that, because manufacturing is one activity where the jobs are created irrespective of their education or technical education, and the distribution of MSMEs is more towards tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So demographically also it has a social inclination when it comes to manufacturing. Export wise, around $440 billion coming out of manufacturing. Target is close to $1 trillion. Maybe we should be able to do it by 2030. Belagavi has a unique ecosystem of manufacturing. To be very honest, in whole of Karnataka, after Bangalore, the only city I have seen which is doing really well when it comes to manufacturing without much support is Belagavi. So Belagavi has a unique blend of entrepreneurs who are out here, huge exports, one of the, I think, second largest GST collections in the state, and that too without any support. So Belgavi entrepreneurs, I have always been very, very appreciative, and not only me, but across Karnataka or across India, whenever people come and visit Belgavi, whom I know, they're very appreciative about the entrepreneurial spirit of Belgavi. So Belgavi has a huge potential, but it needs to grow. It will grow, but I think.
I think people like you standing as backbone and supporting all the next generation entrepreneurs like us, I'm sure Belgavi will reach where it is meant to be, where it deserves to be. In conclusion, I want to ask you something. You have been doing so much for the society, not just Belgavi, North Karnataka, and for the entire state, beyond state. I want to ask you, how would you want people of Belgavi to remember you?
It's a very difficult question. I don't know how they want to. They just want to remember me as a good person. That's all. Who wanted to help people, who tried his best. Maybe something was achieved, some things were left behind. So I'm happy with whatever I did. Nothing more, nothing less.
But I'm sure Dr. Sachin Sabnis is a name which everybody is familiar of. I call
Thank
you
you.
as a celebrated entrepreneur, not just an entrepreneur, but a celebrated one.
Oh, thank you for calling me. But I want to be known as a good person. That's the end of it. Entrepreneur or no entrepreneur it comes. Entrepreneur I have been by whatever I did my whole life. But at the end, I want to help people and see that everyone succeeds. Belgaum achieves some good name, and every young person out here has a job and good maybe salary, as you said. They want to come back, and as I said, we all should create maximum opportunities possible for the next generation, because it is very, very aspirational. My only fear is they are so aspirational. If we don't create opportunities for them, we are creating a very big social issue. So each one of us should take responsibility and see that we create opportunities for them. That's my only thought process on this question of yours.
Thank you so much, sir. It was wonderful hearing your insights. We could talk at length. We have seen many of your interviews, which were very short. We wouldn't know you in and out as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a social activist, and so many other things. There's so much to take away from you. We are truly privileged to have had you in our podcast series. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chetna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Let us meet for the next episode with yet another seasoned entrepreneur of Belgavi at KLS IMER next month. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for the further episodes. Thank you, everyone.